Greetings Internet, DDA here, and welcome to my first deck list video. Well, I've done some deck list videos before, but we're going to try to make this one a little bit more structured. So I realized originally I wanted to do deck breakdown videos and kind of go over every way you could use a personality in a certain style. But I realized that now with new masteries, new personality levels, the possibilities are much greater, so I don't want to make hour-and-a-half long videos. So instead I'm going to kind of just define what the focus of the deck is and show you my list and talk about how to use it. So this deck that we're going to go over is Black Trunks Anger Beatdown. So the primary win condition of this deck is going to be Survival with a secondary MPPV win condition. So we're going to use the Black Devious Mastery for a couple reasons. One, because it adds damage, and the first two levels of Trunks are attacks. So this complements the Black Devious Mastery really well, because especially on level 2, the attack does 9 stages. So no matter what stage the opponent is currently at, it will, knock him out of range to do most energy attacks. Plus the extra stage and life card adds nicely to his level 1 power, which is otherwise kind of weak and mediocre, so it does make it pack a little bit more of a punch. We're actually going to be using all 3 new levels of Trunks, so none of the old levels, because I feel like the old levels belong in a control variant. So this is an aggressive deck. Our primary win condition is Survival, so we're going to go with the attacking level 1, the attacking level 2. 8 stages there, love this level. The level 3, and originally when this level 3 came out, I was a little bit hard on it. I said the card advantage was clearly better, but the advantage that this guy gives you is that not only do you get rejuvenation, because instead of taking a card from your life deck, you're actually putting a card back in and using a card from your discard pile, so you're gaining net 1 card, or over compared to the Trunks level 3, the old Trunks level 3, you're actually, 2 cards over, because, rather than losing a card, you're gaining a card. And the real power of this Trunks comes in, 1, you can actually use it the level that you get to him, and also you can just cherry pick any card that you need, any answer that you need from your discard pile. Whereas the old Trunks, you can only look at the top 6. The new Trunks has access to your entire discard pile. And of course the new level 4, this guy plus 5 stages to all your attacks, and he's just super powerful, making your AT damage off the charts. So those are the levels that we're going to do for this Survival Beatdown Anger deck. And the level 3 is especially good for Anger. It's his only level of all the levels that will actually help you level in this deck, because you can just keep grabbing the 2 Anger cards from your discard pile. So now we're going to go over the list. So we're going to have a lot of physical attacks. You're going to just see this is a physical beatdown deck, so let me just scan over the list and then we'll kind of go over each card individually and why we chose to include them in our deck. So we got some one-ofs, some one-of choices here. It's better to use one-ofs in Trunks, because you can cherry pick the cards. So as you're taking damage, you can just take them as damage, the one-ofs, and then grab them with your level 3 power if you need them. Especially with these guys, because they're very good in certain matchups. Black Empowered Elbow being, I'm a hero, so I can't play Withering Fire. But it does add the possibility to get rid of 2 drills if it hits. So it's really good in the orange matchup, but not really good in other matchups. I have Black Refusal for other matchups, like red, and also it's really good in orange, but it's not very good if they have Focusing Drill in play. So this is a great, Empowered Elbow is a great answer for Focusing Drill, and orange in general. I could just use Empowered Elbow, then use my level 3 power, get it back into my hand, and possibly discard 4 drills. Optic Blast, everyone I think is aware of how powerful this card is now, given the results from Texas Regional. This card is super strong. It has the potential of stealing 2 Dragon Balls, 1 being from critical damage. It does 6 life cards, 7 and 1 with the Mastery. So, and then it of course has hit, capture, Dragon Ball. So if you do manage to steal ball 7 with this, you actually can do like on the upwards of 14 damage with this card. So that can just swing you, you know, a fourth of their life deck in one single hit. So for physical attacks here, we play a lot of 3-ofs. We got 3 Lunge. I feel like that's pretty standard. It goes straight for the life. 3 Chin Kicks are great in every ally matchup and just for doubling your anger. It's a really great level card, especially in the blue matchup. 3 Shoulder Slam, set 3 ad. This card is great. It's a great counterpart to like Devastating Blow and Pulverize. It actually does double AT damage, so AT plus AT. Raise your anger 1, lower the opponent's anger 3 levels. So you're going to see a lot of anti-anger in this deck. I feel like set 4 is going to be a very anger-heavy set. There's going to be a lot of leveling, a lot of anger, so I want to pack the anti-anger in here. Plus it also hits like a truck. If I'm my level 2 or level 3, I can, you know, do the upwards of 10 to 12 damage with that card. So Backstrike, I really like this card. A lot of people wonder why I play it in here, and mainly because it's a +3 physical. It raises in anger, and then also damage cannot be prevented. So if I don't, I'll dig your grave, which, you know, I only play 3 of them, and it's nice to, if I could use one every combat, but I'm not going to. If I don't play I'll dig your grave, I'll just save this in my hand for my last attack and do a nice clean 8, 9, or 10 damage at the end of combat. We got 3 black Dismissals. This is an excellent card against Android 18. Gives me stages, making me stronger on the AT chart. Anger control, you know, raising anger, lowering anger. It has endurance. It just overall, this is a great damage mitigation card. It gains me stages to, you know, extra stages if I need them to use energy attacks. And also the next physical attack actually costs a stage, Trunks Sword Slash. So this is a super powerful attack. I don't play too many styled energies in here, but you know, AT +4, super strong, banish 6 cards. I don't think I've ever actually used the hit your next styled energy attack is unstoppable. Not in this version, at least. I just don't play that many energy attacks, but that's okay. You can build your Trunks deck differently. Next up here, we have 3 black Dash, which has probably become my favorite physical attack of all time in black. It's just so good. It has endurance 1. It does plus solid damage +2. And it gains you 2 anger, and it has an amazing ally tutor ability. It's like Hug Maneuver on steroids. This card is just, and it's not banished after use, so you can just cycle it for days with your level 3. Moving on, 3 Pulverize, pretty standard, especially in Trunks. It got banishing ability. It does AT +3, so very solid damage. And then likewise, it does tutor an attack. So if I need one of the 1-ofs, if I need an Optic Blast, if I need the black Empowered Elbow, or if I happen to need black Refusal, which is just needed in the format right now, killing 2 setups, this has won me so many games. Just killing a Visage on the field, or 2 drills that are really nasty, that's just, you know, pumping out a lot of damage for my opponent. There's going to be a lot of orange and red, and I feel like the orange and red are just going to pack on the drills and setups. So 3 I'll dig your graves. I don't use this to level too much. There are a lot of matchups that you're not going to want to level your opponent, but it does do 7-1 with the mastery regardless, and make all your attacks unpreventable. So even if you're not using the leveling feature, it's just a solid aggressive card. There's a lot of freestyle attacks in here. 3 Devastating Blows, anger control, discard pile control. This card is perfect in Black Trunks. It is everything that you want. So moving on to energy attacks, again, I don't play that many, so we went over the 1 Optic Blast. I actually want to add in a 2nd Optic Blast in my deck. I think I'm going to take out a Backstrike, a single Backstrike, and trade it for Optic Blast. I really like Optic Blast, and I feel like Dragon Balls are going to... It's just, you know, I hate when the opponent drops ball 6 on me really early. And Optic Blast is a great counter for that. Other energy attacks I play, I still play 3 black Swirl. So even though I don't run the old Trunks that gets to look at cards, I still play black Swirl because there are just so many situations where I can know the card, whether, you know, they're tutoring out in their hand from, you know, Ruthless with Premonition, if they use Visiting the Past, or if I just blind call it. A lot of times, like if you're playing Namekian and you've been seeing him recur, if he just put 3 hybrid defenses in his life deck and then shuffled his deck, chances are he's got a hybrid defense or 2 in his hand. So A lot of times I'll just blind call and still get it and still snag a few, so all around great card. A newer ad, I didn't play this in my older version, and I mainly added this in just, there are a lot of times where I want to switch from physical beats to energy beats. So as you can see, this is a primarily physical beatdown deck. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 30, 32. So 32 physicals. So this is primarily a physical beatdown deck. We do have some energies in here though. And I want to be able to switch to energy beats kind of on a whim if I feel like it. So if I'm playing like a Piccolo Namekian and he managed to get to level 3 on me and I know he has a flinch or 2 in his hand, I want to be able to just switch to energy beats, and I can do it with this card by using it, tutoring it with my 3, using it again. You know, it's not banished after use. It does a solid 6 life cards in one stage, gains me anger, and possible critical damage if I want, if they have Dragon Balls that I really want, or allies that I want to get off the field. Black Reflection, I've gotten some flack for playing this card continuously in my black decks. I don't play Trunks anymore, so I actually, the old Trunks that had built-in banishing, so I dropped it down to 2 copies. I still played 3 for a while, but I found that I was drawing it too early. So I dropped it. I did drop it down to 2 copies, but this card is just way too good to not play in a black Devious deck, and a deck that's going to be banishing cards, especially a deck that has, you know, 9 cards dedicated to banishing cards. You know, the Sword Slashes, the Pulverizes, and then the Devastating Blows. So I have 9 cards dedicated to banishing cards from the discard pile, plus my Mastery. So you know, Reflection's pretty easy to use. And, you know, Reflection in the blue matchup is almost an auto win because you got Betrayal and Terror and Lunge. So those are 3 picks that most blue decks play, and they're just really strong to use. So 3 commands. Love the passive anger gain, love the anger gain, and leveling outside of combat. Great card, never going to leave. So that's it for events. Not that many events in here, at least. So moving on to blocks, we have 2 finger blocks and 3 knee catches. I'm still playing around with this, how many physical blocks I want, how many energy blocks I want. Right now I'm at 5 physical blocks. I dropped the finger blocks for the knee catches down to 2 finger blocks, up to 3 knee catches. I just want an MPPV. I want to level. The power that Trunks has is on the later levels. So that's where I want to be. So I want that 2 anger. And then, of course, I play time, but then I only play 2 black resistance. It's the only energy block I'm playing, and only 2 copies. So, and the reason for that, of course, is they don't really want to stop my level 1 power, because it's going to get me to attack twice in a row. And the level 2 power takes them straight to 0, no matter what. And the level 3 is just able to put on a lot of pressure. Just, you know, tutoring whatever I want, they skip, and then using that card. So the level 1, 2, and 3 just put on a lot of pressure for energy decks, especially if I can lock them out of allies with, say, a chin kick. So I don't really need energy blocks that much. I found that, you know, I played the swipes, I played mainly just swipe and corruption, obviously, when it was overpowered, but I added resistance in. I feel like it's good for the 3 endurance. It's good in certain matchups, you know, stopping the random energy attack that's going to be thrown at me, but 9 times out of 10, I have the opponent locked at 0, so it's really not a concern to me, so I only run 2. So moving on to planning cards, setups, and drills, you're going to see these, a very small amount of these in this deck, because this is an aggro deck. 2 visiting the past, really hard for me to not justify playing this card in this deck, because it is a very, while it is an aggro deck, it's a very control aggro. Like, I choose when I go in combat. I will pass combat. I'm okay with that. I have the commands. I have, you know, the Smoothness drills. So I can pass combat. That's okay. So visiting the past, freestyle cards really don't hurt me that much. I can handle them in my hand. So I like visiting the past in this deck. But no, it is not a staple card. It is not. There are more and more decks every day that don't play this card. So don't fool yourself. Don't be mad at yourself if you don't play it. 3 Smoothness. It's really, really hard to take this out of a black deck. You know, just getting a free card, especially in Devious, because it has endurance, and then if you draw it, you can just drop it with your Mastery, and I've done that several times. Sure, having it out and drawing it isn't the best thing in the world, but That's really the only disadvantage. Drawing it first turn is a godsend and can just set the course for the entire match. So 3 copies. I had it at 2 for a while in this deck in set 3. Jumped it up to 3 copies before the end of set 3, and I don't think it's ever going to go down. 3 Declarations. Solid card, just great for removal, gets around Focusing Drill. Great to get rid of the ball 1 or the ball 6 that's annoying in play. Great in pretty much any matchup, and it has 2 endurance. So you can see that this deck has actually a lot of endurance. You know, endurance, lots of endurance. Just endurance across the board. Endurance. So just the goal of this deck again is survival. So and then MPPV is a secondary win condition, and I managed to do that pretty well. I get into level 2 every game, level 2, level 3. Maybe in 40 to 50% of my games, and level 4 maybe in 10 to 20% of my games. But still, I haven't MPPV'd in an actual match before, but I haven't really been playing any passive decks. Most of the decks that I've been playing have been aggro, so I would have to see if I played a more passive deck, if they would be able to block all my attacks, what the outcome would be then. So now we're going to go over some of the tricks and how to use the deck. Alright, so some of my favorite combos with this deck, one is right here, and it's a recent ad, Black Dismissal. I love this card. It has shown me that this is going to be one of the most, when it came out, people kind of figured it was good. Yeah, some decks played it, like some control or more aggro-oriented Krillin decks played it. But I think this is going to be seen in a lot more black decks in set 4, mainly because of Android 18, you know, the flat damage, the anger control, and as well as the stage gain, getting your AT back up, and that's actually why it combos so nicely with Shoulder Slam. There were very many times where I would be, you know, knocked to 0, and just, you know, Shoulder Slam only does 1/1, you know, if the AT is 1, if your opponent and yourself are at 0. So it'll do 4 damage, which is kind of underwhelming, big time. So the Dismissal stands as being able to get you into the B bracket on your level 1, the C bracket on your level 2, and actually, does it get you to D? Yes, I think it does get you to D bracket on your level 3. Yes, it does. Yep, you got 4 stages, so you'll be a D on your level 3, and then likewise you'll be an E on your level 4. So you can basically just take a bunch of damage with holding Black Dismissal in your hand, and then just use it at the end of combat, raise up, and then pound them with a Shoulder Slam, or actually be able to use that Trunks Sword Slash in your hand. Sometimes it gets a little frustrating that this card costs a stage. I can understand why, but it is a little sad. Another combo that's really pretty strong, although again I haven't actually been able to do this with this deck, and this is not out of a lack of desire. It's just I've never been in a situation that I would need to do this, or I would want, or I had the cards in my hand, I had enough stages, you know, just doing the Trunks Sword Slash and then either doing the Black Empowered Elbow for its hit effect, so you get 2 drills, the Overhead Burst, so all 3 of these energy attacks, all 3 of the styled energy attacks I play in my deck have a hit effect. You know, Black Swirl being, of course, the strongest hit effect, gaining you 2 anger. However, Black Swirl is one of those energy attacks that usually you want to play first. Usually you want to name that card. You want to name a block. You want to name whatever card they got into their hand so they can't use it. So obviously it's kind of hard to, you know, do Trunks Sword Slash and then do Black Swirl. You usually want to use it first. So that's one of the other reasons why I haven't really done this combo. And then these 2 energies are recent adds. So we're going to see if, you know, I possibly actually use this. 3 costing energy does mean I'll need at least 4 stages to make use of this, but we'll see. With the Dismissals, I might be able to manage that. So just as a general strategy with this deck, you're going to start at level 1 Trunks, and this is aggro build Trunks. So you're going to want to gauge your opponent. If you're playing another aggro deck, your damage, I would consider, yeah, I'm gonna drop the name right here. This is kind of like a mid-range deck. I'll start using that term, which is apparently not Hearthstone, but that's the first area I learned about it. So I would say this is a mid-range deck, mostly because his level 1 power, while it's a solid attack, it is mediocre. It only does AT plus 1. So I have a mediocre level 1 ability, a much, much better level 2 ability, and my level 3 ability and level 4 ability just go up from there. So mid-range, meaning that my early damage isn't as strong as some other aggro decks. So my early damage won't surpass, say, Turles, or a really strong Saiyan deck like Saiyan Godku, or just a really aggressive early deck that's going to have built-in card advantage and built-in damage modifiers, stage gain, really rough. So if you play one of those decks, you're going to want to kind of bide your time against that, especially early game, and really just try to jump to your 2 as fast as possible in those matchups. So once you hit your 2, you can actually like stand toe-to-toe with most people. And like I said before, this physical for 8 stages, when I first started using him, I got kind of antsy, and I would not use his power. Like I would want, like I'd want to do Swirl, and I would lose the ability to use his power. Or I'd want to do like a chin kick to shut off allies. Like if they had like a really nasty ally in play and I wanted to just like Goldo or something like that. Like I just want to shut off the allies. There are situations where you want to do something from your hand and give up this power. There are situations. Like I said, like if he has Goldo active and you know just you're going to run into Goldo with this power, you'll certainly want to start with chin kick. But in most situations, unless the card you're playing is literally going to swing you that combat and make up for the 10 damage that you're losing out, you're going to want to open with this power every single time. And that's something that I learned early on. I would just skip over it. I would just think to myself, I really want to level. Like, I really want to use this level ability right now. And I would just find that I would lose out on that damage and I would regret it heavily. So use the power, use the strength that you're given on your level 2. So now that's kind of how you're going to deal with aggro decks. If you're facing a strong aggro deck, again, this is a mid-range deck, so you're going to gauge your opponent. How much damage do you think he can pump out? And I would say that is the weakness of this deck. A really strong MPPV deck. This deck does play a lot of anti-anger in it. So it has been able to combat MPPV like Piccolo, MPPV, Red MPPV pretty well, even without Wallbreaker or Energized Strike. But so your worst matchups would be really strong, heavy aggro decks like a Blue Godku, or not ally based, like not Ginyu. Ginyu is based on the allies, so all you have to do against Ginyu, and he has a 3-stage costing energy, so all you have to do against Ginyu is enter on him first turn. If you go first, enter on Ginyu first turn, open with your power. Your power will do 3 stages in a life card, and that will knock him out of range to use his power automatically, and if he blocks it, you can just follow up with another attack, and he won't get to use his power. So Ginyu is a pretty easy matchup for this guy. Turles, Godku would be poor matchups, I would say. Other good matchups would be 19, maybe, depending. This has pretty good stage gain and leveling, so I think you could gain some advantage over 19. 20 would be pretty easy. Chances are the opposing 20 deck won't be wanting to lower himself 3 stages and give you much more damage on him. But if you face like an aggro deck, you're going to want to kind of bide your time and wait for the right hand, or wait to get Smoothness drill in play or something like that, or visiting. And then if you face like a more passive deck, or a deck with an energy attack on its level 1, like Ginyu, Krillin, Piccolo, any of those, you're going to want to enter. Like that, if they have an energy attack on their level 1, your level 1 is a perfect counter to that. Because you're just going to enter on them, and if they block it, if they waste a block on it, you're just going to attack them again. Or they're going to be taking anywhere between 3 and 4 stages and just eat it, and then have to worry about being only 2 above, or 1 above, or 3 above, and then only doing like 1 attack. So, and choosing between an attack in your hand or your power. So really good. This deck is super strong against anything that anything that is just passive or has energy attacks on its level 1. So once you get to your 3, there's going to be a few attacks that you're going to want to tutor out, more often. The attack that I most found that I was tutoring would be Black Dash. Just because it's a friggin' solid physical, and it gains 2 anger. So I just love tutoring this card into my hand. 2 anger, just a solid +2 damage. Being on E, this attack's going to do, 8, maybe 9 damage, maybe 7 damage, and then gain me anger. So really solid. If you're looking for just straight anti-anger, and you're actually high in stages, this is a great card to tutor out. Or Devastating Blow. Devastating Blow is another great anti-anger option. And I love putting pressure on Namekian with just cycling Devastating Blow over and over again. Removing all their as soon as a hybrid defense hits the discard pile, remove that. As soon as Piccolo's weighted clothing hits the discard pile, remove it. Just a great card, an excellent card in the Namekian matchup. Facing off against an allied deck, there's a lot of just counter cards that you can just keep tutoring out. Facing off against an allied deck, just keep cycling chin kicks over and over again. Optic Blast, it does banish after use, which is why I want to add another one in. But you can just use this a one shot, hit the discard pile earlier in game. They don't have energy blocks, just shoot off Optic Blast, steal a Dragon Ball or 2. Everyone talks about I'll dig your grave, and I'm not going to say don't tutor this into your hand over and over again, but if you're going for the kill, if you want to just do loads and loads and loads of damage that combat, tutor out I'll dig your grave and just go for broke. Dismissal is probably, it's an attack that's defensive. Not only does it have anger control, but it gains stages, so it can actually mitigate like a good, 6 or 7 damage on you, depending. So a great defensive attack. Refusal has won me so many games, so just always remember that Refusal is in your discard pile. You can drop your Smoothness drill, it's okay. You already got that extra card in your hand, and just kill the two setups, the 2 drills that are in play that are just making your life miserable. And then, of course, I said before, sometimes it's good to have energy attacks to be able to, tutor at a moment's notice. If they have physical blocks in their hand, just go for the energy attacks. Still gain the anger and tutor it out with your 3. So just a great. I know I started off saying that the old 3 was better, but I've been converted, guys. So, and of course, if you get to your 4, this card is just going to win you the game. You're going to jump up, and your first attack's going to do in the upwards of 10 damage. So I've only been here a few times in practice rounds, and just if I do get to this level, the game is pretty much over by the time I get there. So this is a really solid deck. It is a work in progress. I hope you guys like my build. I'm going to keep working on this build and improve it and bring it to a bunch of local tournaments and just keep improving on it, and hopefully you guys can leave some comments, leave some suggestions in the comments below on how you think I can improve this deck, or if you feel like I didn't consider something. And I'm also going to be building, so the way that I'm setting up these deck list videos, I'm going to be building a lot of decks. I'm going to be coming out with a lot of deck list videos. So the next deck I'm going to work on, I got Red Turles that I'm working on right now, and I'm also going to be working on a Saiyan Raditz, and then also a Control Black Trunks with a new Perceptive Mastery. So stick around, guys, for all those videos. Like, comment, and subscribe.